Okay, so I'm doing Halo Ghost of Onyx mainly because I can, and because I can, and you might be wondering why I even have that in there, and that's because, well, the reason why I'm playing Reach instead of, like Halo 3 is mainly because, well, I think this is more worth it because it goes into much more of the story. And it also involves Spartan 3s. Yeah, the main Spartans that you see in this game, Spartan 3s. So, pretty much, the first section is really on Spartan 3s. That's why I'm going with Lone Wolf. Because it's the shortest mission, and this like, intro is really short. So it stars Tom and Lucy. Oh, by the way, this is Ghost of Onyx. So it stars Tom and Lucy, who are the first Spartan 3s that we ever meet, because this is the first time Spartan 3s have ever been mentioned, because if you didn't know, Bungie originally thought that Master Chief was the last Spartan until the books ended up retconning that and revealing that he wasn't. But, pretty much, what I'd say is that this first section is really good, even though I didn't really know what was going on. It's kind of like the first section of Fall of Reach. But, pretty much, this shows that, like, what the Spartan 3s were actually designed to do. Because you think that you think that, that it was meant to, um, it was pretty much meant to be more Spartans, but really, what it gets explained later on, but it was pretty much, what if we made Spartan 2s but cheaper and for suicide missions? Yeah, these Spartans were never meant to come back on their missions. Not really. And they're some of the best Spartans. Mainly because of one factor, and that was because they're trained by the actual Spartan teacher. And also because, well, they're also trained by one. That'll get explained later. By the introduction of the main Spartan 2 of the program. But pretty much their mission kind of gets messed up because they got the wrong intel. And that pretty much they got screwed over. And Tom and Lucy are trying to finish up the mission because, well, they're not really meant to come back. But they end up surviving, being the only Spartan survivors. And Lucy got pretty much muted. She can't talk anymore, and she even asks if they're still alive. Even though they kind of are, since I think they're going to come back later. Not just as kids when they're training. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the intro. Like, there's some more, like, the entire mission, which is to break into a plant and, stop the Covenant and stuff. But it doesn't really go over the details of that plan. It just goes over that the plan happened. And there we go. That's pretty much the intro. So I guess I'll check back with you in the Halo 5 segment since it has Blue Team in it. But alright. Oh yeah, by the way, if you're wondering why there's no sound besides my voice, pretty much the reason is just so you can hear my voice and not the game, because I've already done Let's Plays on these. So if you want to hear the story of, that, yeah. So, can I... Yep. So, yeah, pretty much, So this goes in this first section, which introduces a secret member of Blue Team. Because, remember Sam from Fall of Reach? Yeah, since he died, they need to replace him. You know, because he was important. I don't really remember what he did besides sacrifice himself, but I don't know. I don't really remember that much from Fall of Reach anyway. Sorry, Fall of Reach fans. I just don't really remember. But can I please skip this? This is important. Thank you. Alright, so in this first part, we're introduced back into Master Chief for I think the only time he actually appears in this book. Because, like, if you don't know, Master Chief barely got any attention in the books after First Strike, mainly because, well, what else was he supposed to be besides before the main games happened? Or after Halo 4? Which they did. But, pretty much, we get reintroduced to a Blue Team with Linda, you know, that sniper, and Kelly, that shotgun, and Fred. You know, those characters that we just saw. You know, the people that everyone absolutely hates, even the book fans. Like, normal people hate them because, well, you know, they're kind of boring and they didn't really get any development because Fireteam Osiris. But in the books, they got a lot more development and you actually got to know their personalities. But the game barely focused on them and everyone hates them, even the book lovers. Mainly because they weren't represented well and also because everyone else thought they were fucking boring. And mainly because their entire purpose in the game was pointless. But anyway, that's just mainly all the reviews I've seen. But, in this first chapter, we get introduced to another member, which is Kurt 051. And he's a different kind of Spartan than, you know, your cold Master Chiefs, your cold Freds, your cold sort of Kelly, and cold Lindas, I guess. But pretty much, he is one of the only Spartans that actually tried to make friends. No, I'm not joking. That is actually a unique thing he does, but he also has a unique thing. He has a spider sense. No, literally, he always has like this like tingly feeling that something's bad's gonna happen, which is shown in the first chapter when he warns Master Chief because they're going into insurgent base. Yeah. So I didn't really explain it, but the reason the Spartans were actually made was because UNSC is kind of sucks. You know, before the Spartan Wars happened. But pretty much, the Spartans were made just to get rid of them, and then, but luckily for them, the Covenant happened, and yeah, even though like no one that read the books, first indication of this was actually in Halo 4, they're probably way more confused about that, but well, they did. I guess there's not like books. Well, I'm guessing I'm in those, but I'm actually trying to read those books, and I mainly got that from lore. But anyway, so back to the plot. So Kurt 501 notices something weird about the warthogs that they're having, and pretty much he decides to go on off on his own while Master Chief and the rest of the team gets captured. Yeah. Because of something about like shields and crap. I don't know. So see, this is the reason why I'm not a good audiobook guy, because I can't really tell, or even a book summary guy. Like, yeah, get over here, you dumb motherfuckers. Thanks, stupid ass bitch. I miss Reach. What? Thanks, Fred. But yeah, anyway, back to the thing I was talking about. Nope. And so Master Chief basically tells Fred, Kurt, I mean, hey, you better tell me when you have that feeling again. Because Master Chief actually now trusts him because he missed Sam. But anyway, pretty much what happens back in the book is that back with the Naval Intelligence guys, or the UNSC, they start to, because these guys really do not like what Halsey did with the Spartans. They think that they're horrible or that they misjudged it, but they decide, the Covenant's coming around and we kind of need more of these guys. So how about this? We make more. Everyone's like, mainly hate it because it costs them a lot of money just to make Spartans, and they don't think it's been earned. But yeah, it's not really told to me, or I just am really fucking dumb and don't even really remember why they hate Spartans. But it's said that they just don't really like how much money it costs, but they decide, since the Covenant's around and we need to get rid of this insurgency quick, we're gonna need more of these guys, so we're gonna cost more money, and we're gonna train more Spartans on Onyx. Yeah, that's where the name comes from. It's a thing. We'll get to it later. We haven't even got to it the book yet, but pretty much now. The book, and they need another Spartan in order to train more Spartans. They pretty much decide, no, I've heard this Kurt guy's really cool. Why don't we just, fake his death and, pretty much take him away from everything? And that's basically what they do. But that's a bit in a bit. So, the blue team goes on their next mission without Master Chief for some reason. But, and pretty much, it goes kind of horribly, mostly because it was pretty much staged, just so they can get Kurt out of his comfort zone and, fake his death. But Kurt knows this has a feeling, but he doesn't really want to tell anyone for some reason, even though Master Chief gave him very much orders to tell. Oh wait, it was to tell him to tell Master Chief. But well, anyway, he keeps it down, and then when something actually happens, he decides just to wait, but then he runs out of air in space, and also the Spartans really don't like being in space. Actually out in there, they either prefer ships or pretty much the ground. Mostly the ground. But yeah. Sorry, I'm just really focused. But yeah, then for a whole chapter, which is what didn't really go on for that long, but for a whole chapter, it goes over how he's surviving and how he's doing, which just goes on for a couple minutes. I don't even really remember it in the audiobook even being mentioned, but yeah. But yeah. Then he wakes up and notices that he's not in space anymore, and the guy that I don't even really remember the name of comes in and says, "Hey, you're being located to my squad, and you're gonna train new Spartans with Mendez." Yeah, that's the guy that trained him, so he's really honored, but he doesn't really trust him because, well, he knows what Halsey's opinion was. And they pretty much treat, in the Spartan 2s, pretty much treat Halsey as like a mother figure. Fucking bullshit. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks. I'm not dying, by the way. Thanks. He goes by quickly. But yeah, and that's pretty much it pretty much is, that's who's gonna be training Spartan 3s, everyone. Kurt 051. And he's got like a new last name, but I pretty much forgot it. But yeah, that's pretty much the first section, plus the opening to Ghosts of Onyx. It's fine so far. But I do know it's probably one of the more better books that have come out, even though it's probably the fourth book. That's the reason why I'm doing it. Even though I did it completely out of order, when like the Flood, then Fall of Reach, and then First Strike. Even though I probably should have done it, with Fall of Reach. But I like no library besides my new high school library has Fall of Reach, and I could only really get the Flood since it was the next best bet, and it was pretty much the only Halo book so far that I can actually tell what's going on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.